We'll see a few design patterns using NAT gateway. Let's say you have these AZs, and each AZ has one or more subnets. All these subnets are private, and there are EC2 instances behind these subnets. If they want to talk to internet, then create a public subnet in an AZ, say 1C, put a NAT gateway there which can connect to internet, and route all internet bound traffic from these EC2 instances to the NAT gateway. What if this AZ goes down? Then all EC2 instances lose connection to internet. To avoid that, put public subnets in all the AZs with the EC2 instances. Install NAT gateway in these public subnets. Route internet bound traffic via NAT gateway in the same AZs. And add routes like this. Now if one AZ fails, let's say 1A, then the other AZ will be available, and traffic from these EC2 instances can still connect to internet using NAT gateway. If you notice, using this design, you have not only added high availability, we have also increased bandwidth. As each NAT gateway supports burst up to 10 Gbps, using this design, we have essentially increased the bandwidth to support 20 Gbps of burst. If we need more, we can add more NAT gateways. VPC peering is a network connection between two VPCs, which enables traffic flow between them using private IP addresses. Peering connections can be created between VPCs in the same or different accounts and between VPCs in the same or different regions also. Here you have two separate VPCs. Each have multiple subnets in one or more AZs. Then you can create a peering connection and connect both these VPCs, which means resources within each VPCs can talk to resources in the other VPC. Few requirements. Requester sends a peering request to the acceptor VPC, which must be accepted to open the connection. CIDR blocks of the VPC should not overlap. Route table security groups and NACLs must be modified to accommodate traffic between the VPCs. Route tables are very important while configuring peering connections. We'll look at some scenarios in future slides. Let's see a demonstration now. This will be a demonstration scenario. We'll create two VPCs in two different regions, North Virginia and Oregon. The name of the VPC should be VPC peer 1 and VPC peer 2. We'll create two subnets in each of the VPCs mentioned above. We'll have one public and one private subnet in each of the AZs. We'll establish peering connection between VPC peer 1 and VPC peer 2. We'll spin up 4 instances in total, one in each of the subnets mentioned above. And then we'll allow some traffic to go in and out from these EC2 instances. This will be the architecture of our demonstration. We'll have two VPCs in two different regions, VPC peer 1 and VPC peer 2. In a single AZ, we'll create two subnets in both the VPCs. We'll have internet gateway attached in the public subnets. We'll create a VPC peering connection between them. We'll launch 4 EC2 instances, one in each of the subnets. Then we'll create an architecture so that this instance allows SSH from this instance and this instance from the other VPC. Likewise, this instance will allow SSH from an instance within the same VPC and SSH from another instance from the different VPC. Go ahead and create the two VPCs. I'll have to make sure that the CIDR blocks do not overlap. I'll create the second VPC in another region, Oregon. I have created two subnets, one with name pub in it and the other one with name prev in it. Let's make this subnet as a public subnet and this one a private subnet. Setup of VPC peer 1 in North Virginia region is done. I have created two subnets, one public and one private. Both of them are in AZ US East 1A. We'll do the same for the other region now. I'm in Oregon region now. It contains VPC peer 2. So now I'll go ahead and create two subnets, one public and one private in this VPC. I have followed the exact same process to create one private subnet and one public subnet in Oregon region. But here, these two subnets belong to two different AZs. Unlike North Virginia, where both the private and public subnet belong to the same AZ. I have launched two instances, one public and one private in Oregon region in VPC peer 2. We'll be doing the same in VPC peer 1, which is in North Virginia region. I have launched similar instances, one public, one private in North Virginia region in VPC peer 1. The security groups and NACLs have not been set up. Last setup which is pending is creating firewall rules using security group and network ACLs. I'll not create any NACLs this time. I'll just show you using security groups. You can go ahead and create NACLs yourselves and test this scenario. For P1 1A pub and P1 1A priv, these are the inbound requests. For P1 1A pub, the public instance which is in the public subnet will only have SSH request from internet. P1 1A priv, which is the instance in private subnet, will have SSH request from the public subnet and the private subnet from the other VPC. For the instance in public subnet in VPC peer 1, I have allowed an inbound rule for SSH from anyone in the internet. Likewise, I'll have to create an outbound rule for SSH request out. This is the SSH request out from the public EC2 instance to the private subnet in VPC peer 1. For inbound requests in EC2 instance in the private subnet of VPC peer 1, I have allowed SSH from the public subnet. For outbound requests from this security group or EC2 instance, I have allowed SSH to the private subnet in VPC peer 2, which is in Oregon region. Let us go ahead and set up security groups for instances in Oregon region. This is the architecture. We have request ins and request outs. We have one request in to P22A pub EC2 instance, one request in to the private EC2 instance in VPC peer 2, another request in and request out from this private EC2 instance. Let us go ahead and create the rules for these. In the inbound rule of public security group, I'm allowing everyone to be able to SSH into this EC2 instance. In the outbound rule, I'm allowing SSH out from the public subnet to the private subnet. For the inbound rules in the security group of private subnets, I'm allowing SSH from the public subnet in VPC peer 2 and the private subnet of the other VPC which is in North Virginia region, that is VPC peer 1. In the outbound rule, I'm allowing SSH out from this EC2 instance to the private subnet in the other VPC. I missed this earlier. This is the inbound rule for VPC peer 1 private security group. We have to allow SSH from the subnet which is there in the other VPC in Oregon region. After creating the security groups, we'll have to attach those security groups with the respective EC2 instances. After all VPC setup is done, we'll have to go ahead and create the peering connection or the VPC peering, and then we'll have to change our route tables. To create a peering connection, go to the VPC console, click on peering connections. Now one thing, we have two VPCs, VPC peer 1 and VPC peer 2 in two different regions. One should be the requester VPC and the other should be the acceptor VPC. We'll make the VPC in North Virginia as the requester VPC and VPC in the Oregon region as the acceptor VPC. I'm in North Virginia region now. Go to peering connections and click on create peering connection. Give it a name. Requester should be VPC peer 1 as I said earlier. In select another VPC to peer with, click on my account because the other VPC is also in my account and it should be in another region. VPC peer 2 is not in this region. Select the region and mention the VPC ID and click on create peering connection. Once you create the VPC peer connection, the status would be shown as pending acceptance. We'll have to go to the other region and accept this peering connection. I'm in Oregon region, and in peering connections I can see that I have a VPC peering connection which is pending acceptance. Click on this one, go to actions, click on accept request. Now the status of the peering connection is active, and the same status will be there in the original region also, which is North Virginia. Let me go to North Virginia region. If you see, the status is active now. We have got a VPC peering connection. This is the ID of the peering connection. We'll have to go ahead and change the route tables. We have to change the route table associated with the private subnet. The reason is we want only private subnets to be able to talk to each other between different VPCs. We do not need connection between the public subnets between these two VPCs. Only the private subnets. Click on route table and click on the route table of the private subnet. Add a route. Mention the CIDR block of the VPC in another region, and in target mention the VPC peering connection. Same should be done with the route table of Oregon region's VPC as well. Select the route table of the private subnet. On the destination, mention the CIDR block of the VPC in North Virginia region, and in target mention the peering connection. This is how we'll test our scenario. We'll SSH into the public EC2 instance in VPC peer 1. From there, we'll SSH into the EC2 instance in private subnet in VPC peer 1, and from there we'll SSH into the private EC2 instance or EC2 instance in the private subnet of VPC peer 2. If you see here we're able to SSH into the public instance in VPC peer 1. From here to here it is a public instance. We copied all the required key pair files or private key files. From this public instance we SSH into the private instance in VPC peer 1. So the yellow and green EC2 instances belong to the same VPC, which is VPC peer 1. So from here I was able to SSH into the private instance in VPC peer 2. The same is true other way around also. I logged into the public instance in VPC peer 2. From there I could log into the private instance in VPC peer 2, and from this private instance I was able to log into the EC2 instance in the private subnet of VPC peer 1. So this successfully concludes our testing and setup of VPC peering. Let's talk about a few pointers in VPC peering. Here you have 4 VPCs. Notice that 2 VPCs have the same network address. This can happen because if you remember, this network address is for private network. You can have peering connection between these 2 VPCs, then these 2. And these 2, even though VPC 2 and VPC 3 are connected to VPC 1, they cannot talk to each other via VPC 1. This is called transitive peering, and this is not supported. If you want VPC 2 and VPC 3 to talk to each other, then you'll have to create a peering connection between these 2. Let's look at some scenarios now, few complex ones. Here we'll see how route tables are so important while configuring peering connections. So we'll configure 2 VPCs paired with 2 subnets in the same VPC. These pictures have been taken from AWS documentation directly. So if you see here, we have VPC A, VPC B and VPC C. VPC A has 2 subnets, subnet X and subnet Y. There's peering connection between VPC B and subnet X of VPC A. There's one more peering connection between VPC C and subnet Y of VPC A. This is the route table. If subnet X and VPC A wants to talk to instances within the same VPC, then they'll use the local route. And if they want to talk to 10.0.0/16 of VPC B, they'll have to use the peering connection PCX A's and B's. Then subnet Y in VPC A, if it wants to talk to VPC C 10.0.0/16, we'll have to use the peering connection PCX A's and C's. So 2 subnets would be talking to the same network address for 2 different VPCs using two different peering connections. So for VPC B, it's pretty simple. If instances in VPC B wants to talk to subnet X, then we'll add this route and the target should be this peering connection PCX A's and B's. If VPC B wants to talk to instances in subnet Y, the traffic should be targeted to this peering connection. It is not that complicated, it's pretty simple. Let's see another scenario. Another scenario. Two VPCs paired with specific subnets. VPC A is paired with VPC B and C. VPC B and C have matching CIDR blocks and their subnets also have matching CIDR ranges. The route table for subnet B in VPC B points to VPC peering connection between A and B to access VPC A's subnet. The VPC A route table is configured to send 10.0.0/16 traffic to peering connection between A and C. An instance is subnet B in VPC B with a private IP address of 10.0.166/32 sends traffic to the Active Directory server in VPC A using the peering connection between them. VPC A sends the response traffic to 10.0.166/32. However, VPC A route table is configured to send all traffic within the range of 10.0.0/16 to VPC peering connection between A and C. If subnet B of VPC C has an instance with the same IP address of 10.0.166, then the response would be sent here. The instance in subnet B will never receive the response. How to avoid this type of conflict? You can add a specific route to VPC A's route table, saying that any traffic destined for 10.0.10/24 should use or should be targeted to the peering connection between A and B. And more generic traffic destined to 10.0.00/24 should be targeted to the peering connection between A and C. One more scenario, we'll see how longest prefix can play a very important role here. You have VPC A with one subnet. There is VPC peering connection between VPC A and B using PCX A and B, and between VPC A and VPC C using PCX AC. VPC B and VPC C have matching CIDR blocks. You want to use VPC peering connection between A and B to route traffic between these two VPCs and to specific instances as well. All other traffic destined for 10.0.0/16 IP address range is routed through the peering connection between A and C. The VPCs can be in same or different region. This is the route table. Check the route table for VPC A. It uses longest prefix match. Traffic to instance 10.0.0/77/32 will use peering connection between A and B as target. But to reach more generic network address 10.0.0/16 will be targeted to the peering connection between A and C. There can be a lot of more scenarios like this, but I hope you get the idea and concept how VPC peering can be helpful to connect multiple VPCs in same or different region within the same or different account.